Okay, before we begin, I just want to once again reiterate what's in the video title. This stream is a discussion of Sonic the Hedgehog 3, which I went to see last night, and therefore expect spoilers, expect the entirety of the film's plot explained, expect things that were in the movie that I liked that were references to Sonic the Hedgehog lore to be discussed. Basically, expect spoilers. If you want to avoid spoilers for Sonic the Hedgehog 3 before you go see it yourself, or Sonic the Hedgehog 3 doesn't interest you, this is not the stream for you. And if you come here to be fucking weird about an almost 35-year-old going to see a Sonic movie, I will just obliterate you with the power of the banhammer. Otherwise, it's great to have you here. Oh. Pausing the game crashed the game. I think the mod I'm using to show me where collectibles are on the map doesn't work with the new map. Because they've added the portal. Audio the Shub Prig Trinity. I assume you're using audio in the place of the word Sonic and not that there's an issue with the audio. Because the audio should be fine. How's it going, Vlad? Just a reminder, this stream discusses Sonic the Movie 3 spoilers. So just keep that in mind. I designed this rhyme to explain in due time all I remember from the late night showing of Sonic. Okay, so it looks like our portal is in... Is that Park Avenue? Which was this way. It's the first time in a while that I've booted this up, to be honest. Is it Sunset Heights? Or is it Park Avenue? Where am I looking? Oh. Space Colony... you know what? Don't mind me, I'm just lost as fuck. Yeah, Space Colony Arc. Never mind then. This way. If you're okay with spoilers, then feel free to hang. Ah, here it is. So probably play through the DLC first, and then I'll discuss the movie. This is quite close to how it looks in the movie. It's Keanu!
Is that me? Huh? I've taken on another form? I feel as if I've left my own dimension.
Voice clips are quite quiet.
Suspicious. I should follow. Looks like I've kept my disinformed abilities.
This is so weird. Insane lore drops from your world.
Let's do this. A beautiful city. This is the ultimate power. Maria described the Earth.
Oh, it's Subway Surfers. Yo, it's playing Westopolis! No way. That's cool. I was wondering if Westopolis would, like, actually appear in the fucking Shadow game. And it appears as part of this DLC. Oh no, there's special collectibles in this stage, which means multiple playthroughs. Yeah, this is a stage I'm gonna have to play through a few times, I think.
I need to find my way back. Or fight my way out.
What a weird stage. Malachi, thanks for subscribing. There's an artist called Malachi. Super Mario Reese subscribe. Oh no. Is this because I'm about to discuss the Sonic movie? Well, welcome everybody. Let's play through the DLC first and then... The Legend is live as now. Uh-oh. Oh no. Did I find the secret to success? On YouTube. We'll soon find out. I'll keep my language very clean then.
You can't stop. You must keep moving.
Yeah, I'm missing another collectible between those. Oh, God. Ah! Shadow the Hedgehog at it again with the white vans. Actually, with the white vans, because the collectible topper, for some reason, they didn't print him with his shoes painted. Which would be something that we'll get to at some point. There's plenty I want to talk about the cinema experience, how much popcorn costs, how things are priced at just the right price that makes you go, oh, if I don't pick them up, I'll regret it. Not quite how it happens in the film.
Not a big deal.
11 seconds faster for S rank. Please tell me I meet Movie Sonic.
Control. I have no time for this. I have to complete my mission, but I'll be back.
Oh, that was cool. His voice lines are very quiet for some reason. This is just one act. Oh, one act and two challenges. Okay. Right. Well, let's get what we came here for then, which is the Sonic the Hedgehog Movie 3 discussion. First and foremost, I have my notes, but before I go through my notes, which I've got here, I will sum up the movie's plot from start to finish, from what I remember from going to see it last night. So, okay. Sonic the Hedgehog 3 begins. You've got Prison Island. It's nighttime, and I think that's deliberate. It's because you never visit Prison Island during night in Sonic Adventure 2, so it's sort of like a mirror image. It's to say different dimension, different rules, different canon, different continuity. We see Prison Island at nighttime. Shadow is imprisoned inside like a glass tube with liquid in it. You know, standard anime, you know, thing where the characters are like trapped inside a glass tube. And there are some guards watching him, and they're eating pizza or something, or bagels, I can't remember. And the computer system at Prison Island gets hacked, and there is the Eggman symbol. So your immediate thought when you're watching it is, alright, Dr. Robotnik has hacked into Prison Island to release Shadow. So Shadow breaks free, and eliminates all these guards, and then breaks a hole in Prison Island's wall and escapes. Naturally, because he was imprisoned in a gun facility, Gun find the Wachowskis and Team Sonic, or Team Knuckles as Knuckles would prefer they are called, and enlists their help to track down Shadow. All Team Sonic is told is that there is an alien on the loose that needs to be apprehended. So they discover that Shadow is in Shibuya, and they go to fight Shadow, and Shadow absolutely wipes the floor with them. There is a motorcycle chase with Shadow on a motorcycle with a gun, shooting at Sonic. It's a laser gun, sure, but it's still a pistol, shooting at Sonic while Sonic is chasing after him, running after him. Eventually, Shadow gets the better of Sonic and knocks Sonic out, and manages to handcuff Sonic with the handcuffs that Sonic had to handcuff Shadow. But of course, Sonic just claims that he allowed himself to get handcuffed for special tactical reasons that he did not reveal. In other words, he let himself get handcuffed because he's got to have another maturity arc, and we'll go through this. So Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles meet at a Chow Garden, which in the universe of the movies is like a children's, like, Freddy Fazbear's thing. They go there, and they meet the Olive Garden guy, General Waters, Commander Waters. The old guy, the wrinkly guy from the first two movies, who's obsessed with Olive Garden. They meet him, and he explains, you know, this creature that you tried to apprehend, his name is Shadow, you know, unlike you, Sonic, who found family and friends when you came to Earth, Shadow, he only found pain. So they get some exposition on Shadow. At that point, these robots come busting into the restaurant, and they're Dr. Robotnik's, Dr. Eggman's little, like, laser bots, floating laser bots. So they're like, oh, of course Robotnik's behind it. 100% it's Eggman's doing. But they get rescued by someone on a motorcycle wearing a motorcycle jacket and a helmet. And They joke, we've already had our motorcycle chase. You know, joking to the audience that, you know, 2 motorcycle set pieces in a row, it's a bit lazy. But they joke about it. And eventually, Team Sonic catch up with this person on the motorcycle, and it turns out to be Agent Stone. Dr. Robotnik, who was believed to have died at the end of movie number 2, is still alive. He's living in a crab robot that is underwater in the river. So, Team Sonic and Robotnik form an unholy alliance because Robotnik is able to triangulate the location of his laser robots that have been used without his permission to identify where all that activity is coming from. Turns out it's coming from a secret gun base that has been long since left abandoned. And inside that gun base, they meet Shadow, and they meet Gerald Robotnik, Dr. Robotnik's grandfather, who is alive in this continuity, unlike Sonic Adventure 2, where he is killed. It is revealed that Gerald Robotnik is the one that has been blamed for the accident that happened at that facility. Shadow had come to Earth in a meteorite. He was imprisoned, and Gunn looked for a way to use his energy, Shadow's energy, in order to power all of their technology and computers and everything. And they did these experiments on Shadow, and they were cruel. And it made Shadow bitter. And alongside that, his one friend at the base, which was Gerald Robotnik's granddaughter, Maria, was unfortunately killed in this accident. Now, in Sonic Adventure 2, that is Maria getting shot. In this movie, Maria gets killed in an explosion that is caused by a trigger-happy soldier that isn't watching where he's shooting. So, after that reveal and that explanation, Robotnik and Robotnik decide, okay, we're teaming up. The world needs to suffer. Maria needs to be avenged. And Shadow is, with them because he wants Maria to be avenged as well. Where are we in the movie? Okay. Waters had on him when Sonic, Shadow, and Tails met him at the Olive Garden. He had a special key, a key card. And 2 of those are required in order to activate a secret weapon that Gerald Robotnik built in cooperation with Gunn. And that weapon is the Eclipse Cannon. And that is essentially the film's version of Space Colony Arc. But it's not in space yet. The keys to activate the one key to activate the Eclipse Cannon is on Waters' body. And the other key to activate it is at Gun HQ in London. So, Team Sonic devise a plan to get to the HQ in London and retrieve that key so that Robotnik and Robotnik can't retrieve that key. Unbeknownst to them at the time, Team Robotnik and Robotnik is also working on a plan to get that key from Gun HQ. There's a kerfuffle at Gun HQ, and Tom Wachowski, Donut Lord, ends up getting, let's say for the sake of like hindsight, ends up getting knocked out. You're meant to believe that he's just been killed, but he gets knocked out by Shadow. And it's in that moment that Sonic has his Maria moment, where, Shadow was holding Maria saying, "Live, don't leave me," and, Fast forward to current day, Sonic's like, no, Tom, don't go. Ah, chili dogs. Ah, base of ball. And Sonic snaps and goes, fuck it. You know what? Team Sonic isn't working. On my own, I'm gonna sort out this Shadow motherfucker. That's it. It's over. So, at that point, the two Robotniks have the two keys, and they activate the Eclipse Cannon. And the Eclipse Cannon rises out of the water in London, oddly enough, and rises into space. At which point, Gerald Robotnik reveals that Shadow's Chaos power is required in order to charge the cannon. And once Shadow has released his energy into the cannon, it will take 5 minutes for the cannon to fully charge, and then the cannon will fire, destroying the entire Earth and everyone within the Eclipse Cannon. As it turns out, Gerald Robotnik has decided that everyone, including himself, must die. And our Dr. Robotnik, let's say Ivo Robotnik for clarity, oh dear, this isn't what I had in mind. I wanted to rule the world, not destroy it. And Shadow, he's umming and ahhing about it. He's like, are we doing the right thing? No, Maria must be avenged. Everyone must pay. Sonic, stealing the Master Emerald from Wade, who unfortunately is only in the movie for a minute, and I love Wade as a character, so it's very disappointing he's only in the movie for a minute or so. Sonic manages to retrieve the Master Emerald from Wade, who was protecting it. The Master Emerald in the movie canon breaks into the 7 Chaos Emeralds. It's a way of keeping the 7 Chaos Emeralds together within one emerald. He gets the Master Emerald, uses it to turn into Super Sonic, flies into space. Alright, Shadow, let's do this. Grabs, blasts into the Eclipse Cannon, grabs Shadow. They have what can only be described as the Goku versus Frieza fight from Planet Namek. It's pretty much like a full-on anime fight. And during that fight, Shadow manages to knock the emeralds out of Sonic, and then when they both go to clash, the emeralds turn both of them into their super forms. You get Super Sonic and you get Super Shadow, which is cool. And then they fight, and ultimately, at the end of their battle, they realize, hold on, this is wrong. I'm letting my anger control me, and, I'm a better person than this. Shadow, you're a better person than this. Maria never would have wanted everything to be destroyed. Shadow's like, you're right. Okay, let's work together. Live and Fucking Learn starts playing. Only a little bit. Unfortunately, not a lot of it. But Live and Learn starts playing. You get this really amazing moment where Sonic and Shadow decide, okay, we're going to take out Dr. Eggman. We're gonna stop the cannon from activating. Meanwhile, the two Robotniks have been having a fight that can only be described as weird. They have parts on their new suits that allow them to spawn animal parts, and they're fighting with massive fists, or Robotnik is in a mantis form going, yeah, yeah, yeah. It's weird. Ultimately, Ivo Robotnik manages to defeat Gerald by performing Kancho. If you know what Kancho is, performing Kancho up his bum with Sonic's quill, with a Sonic quill that he had. There's a fart noise. Gerald Robotnik goes zooming into the laser field, incinerating him immediately. And that was a beautiful payoff to that fight. At this point, Knuckles and Tails have got to the Infinity Cannon as well. The Eclipse Cannon as well. So they're now here in this final. So he fists great. Yes. Actually, it's the grandfather fisting the grandson, and then he gains mantis limbs. It's weird. So at this moment, Super Sonic and Super Shadow... Okay, there's no way we can stop this cannon from firing. It's too late. Let's try to push back the beams. So they're trying to push back the beams. Meanwhile, Ivo Robotnik, Tails, and Knuckles are trying to steer the space station away so it doesn't destroy the Earth. The culmination of this is that they succeed in steering the space station, and the laser slices off a chunk of the moon. Just like how Dr. Eggman destroys a piece of the moon to show he's serious in Sonic Adventure 2. Sonic loses consciousness, Tails goes into space to try and save him with a ring. He loses consciousness, Knuckles flies out, manages to rescue the three of them and take them back down to Earth. Ultimately, Dr. Ivo Robotnik gives his life. He's there in the space station when it explodes. He gives his life to save the planet that he ultimately wanted to destroy. It's a great send-off to Jim Carrey. It is done beautifully, and it's peak. It's so good. It is the right send-off for that character, because that shows maturity and growth between the three movies. At the end of the movie, Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles are once again together with the Wachowskis. Tom is healing. He's got his arm in a sling, but otherwise he's healing and everything's okay. Mid-credits and post-credits now. So these are the big spoilers. Mid-credits scene. Sonic manages to get lost and finds himself in New York State Park, I think it was. And he gets ambushed by Metal Sonic. It's like, no big deal, I fought one of you before. If you're going to take a shot at the fastest man alive, you better not miss, right? And then more Metal Sonics appear around him. Uh-oh, this is serious. Then a hooded figure with a hammer shows up, throws the hammer, destroys all the Metal Sonics, pulls the hood down to reveal Amy Rose. That's your mid-credit scene. Post-credit scene, there is a crater on Earth, and there is a ring stuck in the crater, and you see Shadow's foot step next to the ring. So either Shadow survived, or it's a Shadow clone. And there was a line spoken by Ivo Robotnik earlier in the film to Agent Stone, because Agent Stone and Ivo Robotnik have a falling out. I don't want to reveal any of the character relationship stuff, because that for me is the funniest stuff in the movie, so I am avoiding spoiling any of that, because that was genuinely funny and quite heartwarming to watch. But there is a throwaway line about cloning Agent Stone, and that makes me think that they are going to play with the Shadow clone aspect in Sonic 4. So that is the ultimate breakdown of the movie from start to finish, all the core important parts. There is a lot that I missed, because naturally I don't want people to watch this and then not go watch the movie. I want you to go fucking see the movie. It was great. I went to see the movie. I got the popcorn tub. And I got the collectible cup with the Shadow the Hedgehog drink topper with the white Vans with the figure that doesn't stick to the top of the cup properly. Very cool. I want people to go see this, because this is solid. So no Chris. No. Chris, I would say at this point, seems to be a solely Sonic X continuity thing. How I would love them to do a season 4 of Sonic X and tie them into the movies. Now is the perfect time to hit that nostalgia, but I don't think it will happen. So, I've got some points that I want to go through from my notes. So, gun bases on Earth, the Ark is not a thing. So, the gun base is in the bottom of a mountain, a giant mountain. That is on Earth. It's not in space. It is a secret underground facility, and that is where Maria Robotnik just is, for whatever reason. In Sonic Adventure 2, Maria Robotnik is on Space Colony Arc because she has NIDS, Neuroimmunodeficiency Deficiency Syndrome, the Sonic the Hedgehog equivalent of AIDS. Officially, that's what it is. And the atmosphere in space makes her her condition move slowly, so that she doesn't deteriorate as fast. So that's why Maria is on Space Colony Arc in the Sonic games. The reason for why Maria is at the gun base isn't really explained outside of she's Gerald Robotnik's granddaughter. That's the reason she lives there. There's not really an explanation given. Where's her parents? Is she adopted? Is she actually Gerald Robotnik's granddaughter? In which case, what about Gerald Robotnik's son, daughter? There's a lot that isn't explained there. Shadow is an alien like Sonic, came to Earth by meteorite. Yeah, so because the Sonic movies treat Sonic and his friends as aliens, which is a framing that makes Sonic the Hedgehog easier to understand for, I think, the general public. If we treat Sonic and his friends as being aliens from space, then it makes sense that Shadow would have come to Earth by meteorite. The alternative is that he came to Earth somehow else, like, for example, through a ring, or that he came here in some sort of spaceship. So he came here by meteorite. That implies that there could be more Shadows. There could be more aliens just like Shadow. And it doesn't rule out being able to have Black Doom as an antagonist in the movies. And if they do have Black Doom in the movies, that would be cool. I would definitely be for that. They have the opportunity to use Black Doom. Bio Lizard is a kaiju film. Okay, this is really cute, right? So Maria is living in the gun base in the mountain, and she's made herself a little pillow fort and a little tent, and there's a TV, and she's watching a movie with Shadow. Really beautiful scene, by the way, when Maria first meets Shadow, and basically he's miserable, and he's locked up in a machine, and he's angry, and and Maria just takes the piss out of him being angry, and it's really cute. It's really cute. Anyway, there is a scene where they're watching a movie on TV, and that's when Shadow has like the understanding that humans see aliens from space as a threat, because the movie voiceover is saying, and the aliens started destroying the planet, but it's done like a puppet movie, and the puppet is clearly the Bio Lizard. It's a big lizard, it's got the dish on its back and the wires, and I just thought that was a very nice touch. That's how they worked Bio Lizard into the film, and that's cute. Okay. Sonic does not address Keanu's voice. Hey, Creekcraft, welcome. Nice to have you here. This stream is full of Sonic 3 movie spoilers, so if you don't want the Sonic 3 movie spoiled for you, then don't hang around. Otherwise, I'm going to carry on going through my notes. Sonic does not address Keanu's voice. So this was really disappointing. I caught one reference to a Keanu movie in the entirety of the film, and it's in a scene where Ivo Robotnik and Gerald Robotnik are having a conversation, and Ivo Robotnik is testing Gerald Robotnik to see if he is really part of the Robotnik lineage by saying, like, well, what is the speed of light multiplied by blah 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 divided by the speed of the bus from the movie Speed. And that's the only time they make a Keanu reference. Sonic never says to Shadow, who are you and why do you sound like Keanu? Which was what I was expecting. I was expecting him to say, like, he's beginning to believe, or something like that. No, there's no Matrix references, no Keanu movie references, nothing. Which was kind of disappointing, but that leads into the next thing. Played seriously for 80% of the film. This is the most serious of the three Sonic movies in terms of, like, how seriously it plays itself. there are scenes that are stupid and dumb, and those scenes are done to the point of excess, to the point where they are no longer funny, and then they are so dumb and stupid they become funny again. So the scene that people saw in the music video for Running Out of Road, right? Where Gerald Robotnik and Ivo Robotnik are dancing and there's lasers. That is actually an almost 3-minute sequence where they dance to the song Galvanize by the Chemical Brothers. It's very weird. And there are scenes like that that are completely ridiculous to the point of excess and stupidity, and then afterwards you'll get a very serious scene that is played so seriously to the point where you're thinking, am I watching the same movie? This movie is schizophrenic. This movie is all over the... And that's something I like about the movie, but it's also something I didn't like about the movie. What's my next point? Soundtrack has Live and Learn mixed in. So in a lot of the audio stings, there is da 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 bum 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 bum. In lots of incidental shots, when they're showing something that's related to gun and the gun facility, you'll get da na 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 na, like a lot of that in the background soundtrack, which is really cool because Junkie XL has been criticized in the first two Sonic movies for not using a lot of Sonic music. But they actually worked a lot more of the Sonic music into the film score, and it really works. Especially with everything gun-related using Live and Learn theme, and everything Shadow-related using the Live and Learn theme somewhere in its construction. And that is gorgeous. Speaking of use of music, they use the iconic Robotnik theme that was introduced in Sonic 06. Dun, 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 dun. That piece of music is what I associate with Eggman. A lot of people associate I am the Eggman, which you get a split second of for a ringtone, unfortunately. But the Eggman Sonic 06 theme that was introduced in Sonic 06 and was then used predominantly in like every Sonic game since. Alright, take care, Creekcraft. That theme is featured quite predominantly when on the reveal of the Eclipse Cannon and the reveal of Robotnik living in a crab underwater. And it's nice to hear that theme used in the movie. Chow Garden scene has Jackson 5 in Japanese. Okay, this is weird. So I mentioned earlier that the Chow Garden is like a Freddy Fazbear's place, like a Showbiz Pizza, Chuck Entertainment Cheese place, and they've got mascot outfits. You get the fake out where the lights cut out, and you think, okay, something bad is going to happen, and then the lights come on, and Chow in outfits are dancing on stage to Jackson 5. Oh, which Jackson 5 is it? ABC? Yeah. It's ABC with Japanese vocals. In Japanese, which was weird. And then when you've just come to terms with the fact that that's happening, that's when you actually get the robots come in and fire the lasers that I mentioned earlier. How many times does Sonic need a maturity arc? So this is 3 Sonic movies in a row where the core feature of Sonic's character is Sonic growing up. You know, that's actually an interesting thing, Vlad. That hadn't even occurred to me, but the Michael Jackson Sonic, that hadn't even occurred to me. So, 3 movies in a row, Sonic's story is about Sonic growing up. Sonic having to grow up. And that's getting boring now. I don't want a Sonic growing up story in Sonic 4. We've had a Sonic growing up story in Sonic 1. You know, you've gotta... You know, you gotta do the right thing. When the time comes, you'll know. Do the right thing. Sonic Movie 2. You know... My daddy once took me out in a boat on the river, and he told me that, you got to do the right thing when the time comes. When the time comes, do the right thing. Sonic movie 3. Sonic, deep down in your lungs, you're special. Do the right thing when the time comes. It's 3 movies in a row they do the exact same thing. And there's only so many Sonic movies I can accept where they're going to do that. Sonic 4, please, Fowler, do not have a Sonic, do the right thing when the time comes, growing up story. It just... I'm done with that now. Yeah. That is true. And you make a good point there. It is to show the juxtaposition where Sonic grew up with family, Shadow grew up with nothing. And yeah, there is a lot of mirroring going on. Shots of Sonic from the left-hand side, shots of Shadow from the right-hand side. So here I have, trying to retrofit game lore into the film lore is so rickety. So the issue that I had basically was, because the films have, at this point, built their own lore, that now that they're trying to work things in from the games, it's messy. And if they had focused on making movies that were closer to the game's story and plot to begin with, then you wouldn't be struggling to get the game stuff to fit in now. I would be quite happy if the next Sonic movie did not directly adapt a game, but instead told a brand new story with the characters that have already been introduced and built together, with maybe a returning antagonist, either Agent Stone, though I think it's unlikely that Agent Stone will be an antagonist going forwards, and I'll go into that in a bit. Either Agent Stone, the lady from Gun that was sort of... I don't know if she was introduced in this movie. I think she was introduced in the second movie. But there's a lady from Gun that is like the miserable white lady. And she would make a great antagonist in Sonic 4. Or alternatively, give us Black Doom or give us Metal Overlord. I would happily have Metal Overlord as a villain. Let's see. We don't see Maria actually die, which sucks. I'm joking when I say that. There's only so much background you can fill in before it sounds like you're just pulling... That's true. That's true. I think it's too late to retcon what they've already done, so they've just got to find a way to make it work, and that's why I think they need to tell a new story for Sonic 4, not a reworking of a previous game. Yeah, we don't see Maria actually die. I'm kidding that it sucks, but we don't actually see Maria get killed. So there was an opportunity for me to go yes really loudly in the cinema and annoy people, which is unfortunate. And the last note I've got here for the main film is Shadow the Hedgehog is shown removing his limiters. So when Sonic has already dropped away from Earth and he's falling from the Eclipse Cannon, he's falling towards Earth, and Shadow is left trying to stop the Eclipse Cannon on his own, he removes his limiter rings. So that indicates that he had limiter rings the whole time. Those were limiter rings like they are in Sonic 06. This is interesting, because as I mentioned earlier, Amy Rose was introduced in the mid-credits scene. And Amy Rose, as part of her design, is wearing the limiter rings. Therefore, Amy Rose is as powerful as Shadow, because she's wearing limiter rings. You wouldn't put in Shadow removing the limiter rings and then show Amy Rose wearing the limiter rings if you weren't going to play with that in the next film story. I am ready for an Amy Rose that is a girl boss. I am ready for that. I am all for that. Do I have anything else down? That I mentioned that the shadow at the end of the movie in the post-credit scene could be a shadow clone. Yeah. Just based on the fact that we don't see his face, we don't hear him speak, we see his shoe. So he could be a shadow clone, he could be another alien from... So yeah, that's basically the breakdown of the movie from start to finish and the notes that I had. Do you have any questions about the film that I can answer? Or attempt to answer? Anything that I might not have touched on? I don't want to spoil any of the things that made the movie, like, entertaining to watch from, like, an entertainment point of view. Like, I don't want to spoil secrets or twists, you know? I don't want to spoil character relationship stuff, because that's the best stuff.
It looks like how Maria described the Earth.
Yeah, it's a solid movie, and I would recommend going to see it. I enjoyed it very much. I mean, I was going to enjoy it anyway, because Jeff Fowler hasn't missed yet. Sonic 1, in some ways, was close to a miss, but even then, he hasn't missed yet. So, fun fact, Jeff Fowler, some of his early VFX work was Shadow 05. There are shots in this film that are recreations of shots from Shadow 05. In the initial prison breakout scene where Shadow breaks out of prison, there are shots and animations of Shadow kicking that are identical to Shadow 05. When Sonic gets beaten by Shadow the first time, he goes, "Ah," and falls down, slumps. That is a scene from Shadow 05, recreated spot on. You can't, like, claim that Fowler, like, isn't a Sonic fan. Like, it's clear by his treatment of the characters and scenes that he cares. Yeah. And it is a nice touch to where he came from. Previously working on Shadow 05.
I need to find my way back, or fight my way out.
I think I probably missed one of the collectible pictures there, to be honest. Sorry, it's a short level. It's only a minute or two long. So Shadow 05, in some ways, Shadow Generations removes the need for a Shadow 05 remake because it helps canonize parts of the Shadow game that were not abundantly clear. But I'm with you on like a remaster. The problem with Shadow 05 is it was put together in less than a year, using the bones of Sonic Heroes. It was done on the cheap, and it was done quickly. So I think you're right that a remaster would not fix Shadow 05's main flaws, which are all... which all derive from, like, its construction. You can't fix... You can't fix something that's broken once it's broken. It's much easier to fix something before it's broken, you know what I mean? But there is, like, a pump-action assault rifle now, like in more recent years. That is a thing that exists now. Still not quite in the form that it does in Shadow. As far as these movies go, when I left the theater,
Perfect.
nice. When I left the theater last night, sorry, I'm really snotty. I've got like a cold now. I got my Christmas cold. I got my Christmas influenza. When I left the theater last night, I wasn't sure if it was my favorite of the Sonic movies. I'm now confident it's my favorite of the Sonic movies. I think by a significant margin. Now I've had time to reflect on it and remember the story. The fact that I can recall so much of the movie is testament to how good it was as a film. Got one more postcard to find. Are there achievements related to this DLC? No. They haven't tied any achievements to this DLC. So it is entirely optional. Suppose we can go into actors then. So Keanu as Shadow, he makes a good Shadow, but I think I like Kirk Thornton more as Shadow. Based on the voice direction in Shadow Generation specifically, once Kirk Thornton was actually given some proper voice direction, I still think Kirk Thornton is a better Shadow than Keanu. But, that said, Keanu does bring a texture to Shadow the Hedgehog. He doesn't do the typical Keanu. There is sort of like there is a sort of youthfulness and naivety to him. And Jim Carrey similarly plays Ivar Robotnik as sort of naive in Sonic 3, which is interesting because, you know, in Sonic 1 and Sonic 2, it is explained that, you know, Ivar Robotnik has no family. There is no one in his life except his sycophant, Agent Stone, and his robot babies, right? So when they introduce Gerald Robotnik as being alive, they introduce a childish nature to Ivar Robotnik. He becomes giddy and childish, and he starts to have the childhood that he didn't have. And it's kind of weird to say that Jim Carrey plays a really good childish Dr. Robotnik, but he plays a really good childish Dr. Robotnik. And it leads nicely into his eventual sort of sacrifice arc. You know, it plays neatly into it that by the end of the movie, you can believe that the man who, you know, you're basic, that he could be someone who would sacrifice himself for the Earth. You can believe it by the end of the movie. And I don't know if that's just like Fowler's direction, but I think a lot of that is Jim Carrey's acting. This is the best Robotnik that Jim Carrey has played. And he plays two of them in the same movie. And there is a little joke where they acknowledge that. It's like we're two characters being played by the same actor in a film. Turns to face the camera. There are a few moments like that. The best and funniest parts of that movie are Jim Carrey interacting with Jim Carrey. Like, genuinely, those are the best parts of the film, hands down, are the Jim Carrey and Jim Carrey interaction scenes. So, soundtrack. I've mentioned Jackson 5. I've mentioned that Live and Learn is featured, just a little bit mixed into the soundtrack, but you've got Johnny Gioli singing, and you've got Jun Senue's guitar work, which is very cool. Goldfinger's 99 Luftballon. Huh? That was a weird one, right at the start of the movie. A race between Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles, and they play Goldfinger's 99 Red Balloons cover, which was strange. There is a classic song. I can't remember which one it is, but it's like a 60s song that plays when Gerald Robotnik and Ivor Robotnik are having their, like, their, of a better word, lack of a better word, bonding. Grandfather grandson bonding. They play a classic 60s song. I can't remember which one it is, but it's funny and it's fitting, and it lends itself to the scene. It was combined with the ridiculous visuals that were going on. And then there's this kind of subplot about this Spanish language television drama, soap drama, about a man named Juan who's in love with an attractive woman who is secretly in love with his twin brother. And that ends up actually being relevant to the film's plot. Sonic 3 is a weird movie, in case you hadn't gathered. It's a weird movie. Genuinely, though, I'm impressed, and I could probably talk about this movie for another half. Hey, Johnny, hey, just coming in at the end here, but I appreciate you being here. Maybe I'll do something office based after this breakdown, but I've just for the last sort of hour or so basically been going through Sonic the Hedgehog 3 movie, my thoughts on it, showing off the cool merch, the popcorn bucket, the collectible cup with the Shadow the Hedgehog figurine. So cool. Who are you and why are you drinking from my straw? It's like Shadow's like, I showed you my straw. Talk to me. It was a solidly good movie, and I think if you are on the fence about seeing it, go see it. If you would rather wait for the Blu-ray, then I would suggest waiting for the Blu-ray. It's all about whether or not you get anything from the cinema experience. The best thing about the cinema experience for me, besides the overpriced concessions and collectible popcorn tub, the best thing about the theater experience for me is being able to turn off and just focus on a movie. When I'm at home and I'm watching a film, I have to be doing something else at the same time. I have to be playing a game, or I have to be doing some chores, I have to be tidying up. I can't just sit and turn off at home. But at the cinema, it's different, you know. I have no choice but to sit there and turn off and tune in and turn off and drop out. I have no choice at that point, because the movie is there and it's happening in front of me, and there is no pause and there is no turn off. Did I enjoy it? Yes. I think out of the 3 Sonic movies, it is my favorite Sonic movie. I wasn't able to say that when I left the theater last night, but since I wrote down my thoughts on the film and I've slept on it, remembering and regaling the plot today on live stream, I have come to the conclusion that yes, I enjoyed it, that perhaps it is the best one of the 3. There is a lot there to love for Sonic fans, and I am excited for the prospect of another Sonic movie, even though I think it would be unnecessary to do another Sonic movie at this point. I already know that it's been greenlit, and they have sequel baited hard with the 2 post-credit scenes, so it's inevitable that there's going to be another Sonic movie. In the meantime, I will happily take a television series based on Knuckles. If Paramount wants to do that, that'd be cool. That reminds me, I do need to see Knuckles because it's got Julian Barrett in it, and anything that's got Julian Barrett in it, I have to watch because I guess I have a man crush on that guy. I think more that I just find him incredibly funny, and I know that everything he acts in, he turns his dial up to 11. So I probably do need to see Knuckles just to see Julian Barrett in drag singing about Knuckles the Echidna. Yeah, I think that's it. That's everything that I wanted to talk about, everything that I wanted to address. And more importantly, that's kept all the Sonic movie spoilers out of the Dreams of Saturn, which, by the way, I need to make sure I pick up the updated version today. So we've got that to play. Yeah, that's it. I'm not expecting to get much video content or live streams done over Christmas itself. Generally now I'm hoping to tune out, as it were, and just enjoy the Christmas period for what it is. But we will have Dreams of Saturn today, provided that, you know, no like last minute Christmas things show up or start happening. As far as I'm aware, today is all free, so I'm going to go ahead and do Dreams of Saturn today. No, so ticks it off then. Because I've kept pushing it back, and I feel bad about pushing it back. Right, yeah, that's it. I'm going to go, but thank you very much for joining me for this. Much appreciated, as always. Sick in bed all day. I'm sorry to hear that. Well, by all means, watch this stream back from the beginning if you don't mind Sonic the Hedgehog movie 3 spoilers. Oh, sorry, you'll get a rundown of the entire movie from start to finish, and then you won't have to go see it. I'm kidding. I want people to go see it. Or at the very least, if you're interested in it and you don't like the movie theater experience, then wait for the DVD or Blu-ray, because trust me, it's a solid film. There's plenty of things to not like about it. There's, you know, human aspect stuff that's always weak. I feel like it's done relatively well in Sonic 3. They spend less time. There isn't like an egregious, you know, 20-minute wedding scene. You know. And characters that I liked in the second movie, but I felt had too much screen time, get an opportunity to be in the third movie without actually being in the third movie. And if that sounds like it doesn't make much sense, basically there is a technology in the film that allows certain human characters to temporarily change their appearance and deceive people by pretending to be other people, which gives them an opportunity to explore some other actors and actresses who weren't in their characters aren't in Sonic 3, but their characters were in Sonic 1 and Sonic 2. It's just a shame we don't get a lot of Wade Whipple, because I like Wade Whipple. We only get like one scene of Wade Whipple. I'm disappointed. So another reason why I need to see the Knuckles show, because really they should have called it the Wade show, because what I've heard, 90% of it is just Wade Whipple. Anyway, I'm going to go. Thank you very much for joining me, and yeah, Dreams of Saturn a little bit later on. Until next time, if we live that long, take care, everybody. Bye-bye. P.S. Go see Sonic 3. Alright, take care. Bye-bye.